minor city on the Mediterranean, the Roman Empire would conquer most of Europe and for centuries be the dominant power of the Mediterranean. Due to great men like Augustus and Trajan who would bring it to its territorial extent. It split in two, however, though two more great men would help stabilize the situation. The names were Constantine the Great and Valentinian the Great. However, uncompared to the East, the Western Roman Empire was in serious decline, being invaded by many Germanic tribes, though two great men would try and stave it. Their names were Majorian and Aetius. The Eastern Roman Empire would live on, though, and reach its territorial extent under great men like Justinian. However, after centuries of decline, it would revamp and become the dominant power in the East under the Macedonian dynasty, thanks to Basil II, the Bulgar Slayer. However, not long after his death, many incompetent rulers followed him and would bring the Seljuk Turks, a tribe from the steppes, to Anatolia, bringing the empire near death. These men were Constantine X, Romanos IV, and Michael VII. However, the empire would regrow, gain its strength back under the Komnenid Dynasty, recovering territory from the Turks, strengthening its position in the Balkans, and even influenced the Crusades. It would bring back the might of Rome and make people know who were in charge in the East. Men who made this capable was Alexios I, John II, and Manuel I. Hello all, my name is Little de la History, and today we're going to be talking about the Komnenid Dynasty of Byzantium of the Eastern Roman Empire. Without further ado, let us delve into it. The first emperor of the Komnenid Dynasty was Isaac I. He did not initiate a hereditary succession, being succeeded by Constantine X. His father, Manuel Andronikos Komnenos, was Titos Autocrator of the East and helped Basil II defeat a rebellion in Achaia in the first years of his reign. He was a successful commander, serving as commander-in-chief of the eastern armies of the Byzantine Empire. He was proclaimed Emperor Autocrator by his followers on the 1st of September 1057. He carried out fiscal and important reforms after the end of the Macedonian dynasty was clear. He aimed to preserve the army to help strengthen the empire and refill the treasury that his successors used on pleasantry and excess. He abdicated after falling ill, and the throne passed to the incompetent Duke dynasty. He retired to a monarchy and died in 1060, aged 53. The second Komnenid emperor was Alexios I, who was the nephew of Isaac and the son of John Komnenos, a Byzantine aristocrat and military leader. He had served under three emperors with distinction and importance, deposed Nicephorus III to be proclaimed emperor himself. There had been a Komnenid on the throne in 24 years since his uncle. Alexios himself was capable like his uncle and worked effortlessly to stop the incompetence and losses plaguing the empire. He wanted to put it back in a respectable and powerful position, beginning what is called as the Komnenid Restoration. It was Alexios who defeated the Pechenegs temporarily, however, and the Normans made the important call to request help from the Latins of the West, initiating the Crusades, the first of which, called by Pope Urban III, helped Alexios recover territory from the Seljuk Turks in Anatolia. His reign and campaigns are noted in his daughter's Alexiad, and he reigned for 37 years and died in 1118, aged 62. Third Komnenid emperor was John II, who was the eldest son of Alexios. He was known to be a pious man and ambitious, dedicated monarch who continued his pious reforms and attacks against the Seljuk Turks in Anatolia. John has been hailed as the most successful and fortunate of the Komnenid emperors. He made an alliance with the Holy Roman Empire, secured the Balkans from Hungary and the Pechenegs, and he helped cover most of Anatolia. His reign was mostly war, but he had a simple and domestic foreign policy, bringing religion to the Patriarch of Constantinople and forming alliances with the Holy Roman Empire to the west. He was a good man, pious man as stated before. He never once cheated on his wife, a rare trait for a medieval monarch, and he refused luxury and opulence, being a charitable man compared to the Roman Emperor himself, Marcus Aurelius. His campaigns forced the Turks to go on the defensive for years, and he even campaigned to Syria. He probably would have been successful if the Latin Crusaders weren't unwilling to help the Byzantines, who both distrusted each other. After a reign of 25 years, he died on the 8th of April. He would be remembered in history for his piety and successes. He was known as John the Beautiful. The fourth Komnenid emperor, Manuel I, saw the last flowering of the Komnenid Restoration, and some argue that traces of decline can be traced back to him. He had decided to restore his empire to its past glories as the greatest power of the Mediterranean world and in the East. He was energetic, determined, and ambitious, great traits in a monarch of his time. He had an aggressive foreign policy against those who were not his allies, and was the last Roman emperor to invade Sicily and make an attempt to invade the Italian peninsula. He established Byzantine protectorates in the East and went on crusades with the Latins in a joint attack on the Fatimid Caliphate. It could be argued that traces of decline after his reign can be traced back to him. Some of his goals were little more seen than attempts at grandeur, though Manuel was still a good emperor, and the only thing bringing him down to greatness is his defeat at the hands of the Seljuk Turks in the Battle of Myriokephalon, weakening the army for a while. However, it would not be weakened for long. Manuel would die after a reign of 37 years, aged 61, and he left the throne to a minor, his son, Alexios II. A mistake that would be the downfall of the Komnenids is to Constantinople down a path of losses, and eventually, its fall. Manuel's son, Alexios II, didn't amount to much. He couldn't, even if he wanted to. He was a regent, meaning he was a minor, meaning that he had to be governed by regents who took advantage of him. In fact, his reign wouldn't last long at all, only 3 years, as he would be assassinated and succeeded by his cousin, Andronikos I Komnenos. Andronikos himself was little more than a tyrant and a wastrel, a far cry from what the previous 2 emperors were. He was involved in many controversial romances, and so overall seen as a political failure. His reign brought the Komnenid rule after his death down and brought the Komnenid Dynasty to the throne. A terrible and incompetent dynasty was doomed the Byzantine Empire, despite being left in a strong state in the wake of the Komnenid Restoration. The Anklorids were related to the Komnenids. In fact, most Roman emperors after Komnenids would be related to them, either by marriage or by blood, which brings up a fun fact and pattern. The first 3 Komnenid emperors in hereditary succession names started with A, I, M, and Manuel's the first son, Alexios, started with an A. Greek, A-I-M-A, Ema means blood. Andronikos the first descendants would go on to rule the Empire of Trebizond, a Byzantine Rome state, and after him, the pattern would continue. A-I-M-A, blood. It would go on for another generation, A-I-M-A, blood, but it would eventually be ruined. The reason why this occurred was Manuel believed in a prophecy that if he had named his son Alexios, it would have brought him great fortune, hence A-I-M-A, Ema. Unfortunately, the Angelids were nowhere compared to the Komnenid Dynasty, and the Fourth Crusade, initially planned for their Eubids, would be directed to Constantinople, and the Byzantine prince did not give them the money they were owed after help of him put his father back on the throne. This resulted in the sack of Constantinople and the temporary end of the Byzantine Empire, though it would be restored under the Palaiologos dynasty. And that is it for this video. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell, and until then, everybody, I will see you in the next video.